Ever since this famous bulldog, the Quakes have been a house divided. The Atkinson-Loden relationship has left a black cloud lingering over California's normally sunny sky.
He needs to decide if he's going to go with a little one-night stand, little floozy puppy dog, or if he's going to be with the Quakes.
The Florida Sundogs seem totally unfazed. In the midst of turmoil and an injury epidemic, the Dogs have managed to keep a 5-game winning streak alive. It's the California Quakes versus the Florida Sundogs, next on Roller Jam.
From Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, this is the World Skating League. Tonight, the California Quakes do battle against the high-flying Florida Sundogs. Welcome, everyone, to Roller Jam Arena. I'm Ken Resnick, along with Lee Rehrman and roller derby legend Buddy Atkinson Jr. The California Quakes coming off a very impressive win over the New York Enforcers, but a team that is in total disarray. On the other side of the coin, everything is going right, seemingly, for the Florida Sundogs. They have strung together a number of very impressive wins. Posse Chalene is back, his immigration problems completely behind them. Debbie Rice has come back from a broken wrist. It was injured in 3 places. And the California Quakes, Lee Rehrman, everything is up in the air.
Well, this is definitely a tale of 2 cities, or 2 states, as it were. The Florida Sundogs are winning because of team unity, and the California Quakes are winning despite team unity. But I've really got to think that I'm going to question the Rusty Montgomery, Sean Atkinson turmoil, the mutiny of the whole bod squad, Rusty Montgomery and all the other Quakes against Sean Atkinson. I got to think that tonight it's going to nip them in the bud with all the guns that the Florida Sundogs have in their arsenal, Ken.
Now, last time out, if you missed it, Denise Loden put a jammer helmet on, skated with the Sundog men. Rusty Montgomery bulldogged her. Sean Atkinson went berserk, and he and Rusty Montgomery battled it out. That has not been settled. But Buddy Atkinson on the Florida Sundogs side, I think Debbie Rice might be coming back too soon. She broke that wrist in 3 places.
I know, big break, but I'll tell you what, I think she's going to be part of the inspiration to get even more out of the Sundogs, who are rolling along great. This girl is a real competitor, blood and guts type of skater. She doesn't let these little injuries, and she called it that, a little injury, I'll get over it. And I'll tell you what, she's doing a fine job. Throws her timing off a little bit, but she'll bring it on back.
All right, we will certainly find out. You'll be able to pick her out. She's wearing a huge yellow cast. But here comes the music, the flames, and here come the California Quakes. The California Quakes buoyed with new confidence after that very impressive win over the New York Enforcers. Rusty Montgomery coming out, followed by Captain Sean Atkinson. We have talked about it. Will Montgomery and Atkinson be able to continue to put their differences aside on the track and lead their team to victory? We will certainly find out. Atkinson, he is the go-to man of the California Quakes. And now here come the Florida Sundogs. Without a doubt, right now, the hottest team in all the WSL, the Florida Sundogs, have been stringing together some very impressive victories. And with their off-track problems behind them and buoyed by the return of Debbie Rice. Hawk Rice has been out, broke the wrist in 3 places. How it will affect her skating remains to be seen.
But also, Suzanne Chalene and Posse Chalene for the Sundog men and the Sundog women, respectively, are back from that immigration nightmare, and look for Sam Martin, who hadn't played very well lately, to really pick up some more for the Sundog men.
And starting for the Florida Sundogs will, as always, be captain and their quarterback, Denise Loden, along with Kathy Evangelo, Andrea Franklin, Suzanne Chalene, and Lindsay Francis. For the California Quakes, all 3 bod squatters in the lineup: Stacy Blitz, Cindy Zimmerman, and Jamie Konomak, along with Brooke Sunderman and Faith Urban. As we are at the starting line, there you see a close-up of Jamie Konomak on the inside. Remember, the beginning of every period in the WSL, we start from the starting line. The jammers are in the front. After that, the jammers must start at the rear and lap the field. And right off the bat, you see it's Jamie Konomak and Kathy Evangelo battling it out for the lead. And now Evangelo and Konomak trade elbows as they come around. This is Cindy Zimmerman now taking over the lead, and it is still being trailed by Kathy Evangelo and Suzanne Chalene. Just the very opening minutes, and Cindy Zimmerman goes into the rail, courtesy of Kathy Evangelo. It's Evangelo in the lead, followed by Suzanne Chalene and Jamie Konomak. Konomak certainly the more physical of the 3 skaters, but it's Kathy Evangelo closing on the back. You see Andrea Franklin going back, Denise Loden gives her a whip. Evangelo goes by 1 now. trying to get by Brooke Sunderman. Did a good job of going right by Stacy Blitch to put a point on the board early as the California Quakes are having some problems with the Florida Sundogs. But now down goes one of the Sundogs. And finally, Kathy Evangelo cuts it off, but not before picking up that first point of the game.
Well, it looks for these Florida Sundogs to try to find a balance between manpower. Ken, if you remember the last few weeks, they've not even really had enough people to field a team. And here we see Denise Loden getting into it with a very outmanned Jamie Konomak.
Certainly one of the big changes we're seeing in Denise Loden, almost as the instigator. Buddy Atkinson, this relationship with Sean Atkinson, it's like we're seeing a whole new, more aggressive Denise Loden.
Well, definitely you're getting a little more aggression out of her, but I'll tell you something. She's a real rough cookie in her own way. And I'll tell you something else. You're going to see more of it because she's been taking a lot of stuff from this other team.
And now we see Amy Craig and Cindy Zimmerman out. There's our first look at Debbie Rice as she comes around with the cast on her wrist, I should say, and we'll see how she can do it. Amy Craig now very smart. She's trying to stay on that broken wrist side of Debbie Rice. Rice obviously can't use that. We see right there, obviously no balance for Debbie Rice. Amy Craig now closing up very quickly. Denise Loden back to try and block her out as they come around. Now take a look at Stacy Blitz, does that cartwheel again. Ooh. Slows her momentum. She absolutely labels Denise Loden, allowing Amy Craig to go back very quickly by Denise Loden. Now she closes in and is able to go by Lindsey Francis. Her skate hits the infield. 2 points, referees cut it off. Some pushing and shoving between Stacy Blitz and Denise Loden. No surprise there, but at any rate, it is 2-1 Florida Sundogs.
And Sean Atkinson is monitoring this battle very closely, Ken. And the battle seems to have heated up between Stacy Blitz and Denise Loden as Sean Atkinson begins to either defend his teammate or to defend his girlfriend. I'm not sure which, but you see the expression in his face. He's got a lot going through his mind today. And there's the move, the unproductive move, I think, by Stacy Blitz.
I would question unproductive as that move led to a great hit and it put her team in the lead. We'll be back. Over the Sundog, we are midway through the first period. Certainly one question has been answered. Debbie Rice, while she still has the speed, in no way is a former skater, obviously favoring that broken wrist. Now Andrea Franklin gives the lead whip to Gina Lombardo as they break out. Right now Lombardo, the only jammer out, now finally breaking free, courtesy of 2 straight whips of Cindy Zimmerman as they come around. You see Debbie Rice again with that wrist as we look at Stacy Blitz and Jamie Konomak talking things over. Very tightly contested game. I guess they're checking hairstyles. Now it's Lombardo and Rice along with Cindy Zimmerman. And you can see kind of the strategy of the California Quakes. They are trying to stay. Now Cindy Zimmerman goes to the inside, but it's seemingly California trying to stay on the outside to take advantage of that broken wrist. But the elbow from Debbie Rice drops Cindy Zimmerman. A great opportunity for Gina Lombardo and Debbie Rice as they try and break free. Rice goes high on the outside. There's that speed very quickly, picks up 2 points. Gina Lombardo gets 1, and very quickly the Florida Sundogs back in the lead.
Well, and watch for Debbie Rice, not only to try to get used to playing with that cast, Ken, but a lot of times when she can't practice, as she's not been able to because of the cast on her wrist and the broken wrist, she's really going to try to buy some time to get her sea legs back, so to speak, and get used to playing against these very aggressive California Quakes.
Referee Sean Corbin ruled that Lombardo got by the other California Quakes, so both Debbie Rice and Gina Lombardo pick up 2 points apiece. Suddenly it is 5-2 Florida Sundogs. And now coming out, this is Suzanne Chalene for the Florida Sundogs, along with Jamie Konomak, one of the bod squatters for the California Quakes. Very, very tight game so far. And surprisingly, other than Stacy Blitz and Denise Loden, a pretty clean skated game as you look at the enigma of the Quakes captain, Sean Atkinson, cheering on his women California Quakes.
And Jamie Konomak seems to be fresh off that little hairstyle that Stacy Blitz gave to her. We always see this out of Jamie Konomak, Ken. She plays aggressively for a few moments, then seems to fade out of sight. Right now, she's playing great.
Well, she picked up 1 point there very quickly, going by Kathy Evangelo, as now she picks up 2 points, and Jamie Konomak cuts off the jam and pulls California within 1. Buddy Atkinson, you've had a chance to watch Debbie Rice. Do you think she's favoring that wrist, or is she just a little rusty? It doesn't look like she's going all out.
No, she's definitely favoring it, and I tell you what, she should have broke 3 places, and I would be hesitant too.
Now, Buddy, having skated roller derby for so many years, how tough psychologically is it to come back from that kind of debilitating injury?
It's rough. It's real rough. But I'll tell you what, this young lady's got that toughness, and she's going to come through for this team. I know it.
Well, Debbie Rice certainly has all the heart in the world. It is 5-4 Florida Sundogs. You see Andrea Franklin out as the lead blocker, reaches back and gives the whip to Denise Loden. This is a matchup we've been looking for. This is Denise Loden and Stacy Blitz, the two go-to skaters for their respective teams. Remember, it is Blitz that has been the most vociferous against the relationship between Denise Loden and California Quake captain Sean Atkinson. Right now, both skaters concentrating on putting points on the board in a very tight one-point game. Loden now with a little bit of the lead as they begin to close in on the pack. And it'll be interesting. Now you see dropping back for the California Quakes. This is Brooke Sunderman, and Denise Loden dispatches her very quickly. A forearm goes right past, and Stacy Blitz catches right up. Now what's Denise Loden trying to set Stacy Blitz up for the Bulldog, and like Blitz, you see Loden laughing. Blitz went down all on her own.
Well, and Denise Loden, you got to remember, Ken, she's coming out of the wake of the Posse Chalene situation. Of course, we all remember how she put a jammer helmet on in a men's period a few games ago. She's actually got a little bit of a breather here in the World Skating League by only have to play as a woman, and she's taking some of that newfound energy right to the head of Stacy Blitz.
And now Denise Loden gets the Bulldog thrown in, and at any rate, here's Sean Corbin with Roller Rules.
Roller Rules, brought to you by Dial 1-800-AT&T for collect calls.
I'm Sean Corbin, head official of the World Skating League. If you think my job is easy, think again. When the game is going, I have to keep my eyes focused for everything. In this game, the Florida Sundogs are down by 2 when Bill Barker goes out for the final jam. He passes 4 blockers, scoring what appear to be the winning points. But if you back it up, you'll see that even though the jam clock has 8 seconds, the game clock has run out. What would you do if you were me? If you want to be right, you'd give Florida the points. No matter what the game clock says, the final jam goes the entire 60 seconds. Now you know the rule.
It is 6-4 Sundogs. We'll be back. California Quakes 4 as the men are on the track getting ready to start the second period. The first period, a lot of offense from the women and very balanced scoring, but it's about what we expected from two great skating teams like the Sundogs and the Quakes. And Buddy Atkinson Jr., the Sundogs had to be overjoyed seeing Debbie Rice score those 2 big points.
I'll tell you what, they're glad she's back, and that arm isn't even affecting her play. And if it is, she's compensating for it beautifully. I love that girl.
And certainly her teammates are glad to have her back in the lineup. And on the other side, Lee Rehrman, it was Denise Loden, Malibu, Stacy Blitz. Extremely physical, but we expected it.
Well, we expected it. We've been talking so much about the legend of Denise Loden. The last time we saw her, one of the last times we saw her, she was going through a men's period. But leave it to Stacy Blitz perhaps to find a kink in the armor of that legend. Kaboom! Lowers the shoulder, lowers Denise Loden. Then she's going to lower her helmet. And last but not least, to add insult to injury, she lowers a little kiss to show her who's boss, at least on this jam, Ken.
And starting for the California Quakes, Captain Sean Atkinson, Big Rusty Montgomery, Chad Vaughn, Mark James, and Gary Lockerby. For the Florida Sundogs, Sean Marshall, Captain America, Bill Barker, David Gleddy, Posse Chalene, our newest American citizen, and Jonathan Russell. There you see them at the starting line as we're underway. That's the way we start every period in the WSL. The beginning of every period, the jammers are out front. After that, they must be at the rear of the pack and work their way through to lap the entire pack. But right now, taking advantage of the racehorse start is Mark James, 5'11", 160, number 10 for the California Quakes. And this is Posse Chalene out of Helsinki, Finland. Chalene, the former pro hockey player, you see the physical style he's used to as that elbow literally drops Mark James right in his tracks. Posse Chalene now with a great opportunity to add to this 2-point lead that his Florida Sundogs carry into this the start of the second period. You see Rusty Montgomery, number 14, back to try and block out the Finnish star. Good job so far as we're beginning to wind down in the jam clock. Montgomery doing a great job. There you see the wide angle setting Chalene up for the skyscraper, and Chalene was able to duck down partway. Hawk Atkinson missed, but he's not done yet.
Well, we're not sure if Rusty Montgomery, who seems to be being recruited by the BOD conglomerate of Brown and D'Amato and Atkinson, are playing as a team. But right there, even though he didn't quite get to Chalene, the skyscraper didn't work to perfection. But you saw the result as Posse Chalene was holding his midsection, Ken.
And at any rate, Posse Chalene picks up 1 point for the Florida Sundogs. But talking about taking a hard one, they're up 7-4. Now this is Sam the Flame Martin, number 10 for the Florida Sundogs as they come around the track.
And Ken, I just got to notice that David Gatorboy Gleddy has a turtle shell helmet on his head. We're trying to check with the equipment people to find out exactly what that thing is, but I'm wondering if that's a blocker helmet, a jammer helmet, or even legal at all, Ken.
I beg your pardon, it's number 13, Tom Smith. Both Smith and Sam Martin have that low crouching style, and you saw the big elbow from Smith as it dropped Anthony Santiago in his tracks. And now again, Rusty Montgomery back to try and block out as Smith tries to come around to add to this lead. It is 7-4 Sundogs. Tom Smith having a very rough time dealing with Rusty Montgomery. And now Captain America, Bill Barker, drops Montgomery. Smith goes by him, picks up 1 point, and then suddenly it is 8-4 Florida Sundogs.
And you see Sean Atkinson coming immediately to the defense of his fallen teammate, Rusty Montgomery, Ken. This precipitated the activity. You see Captain America lowering the boom on Rusty Montgomery, who had a great jam last time. Sean Atkinson comes to the defense of his teammates. A lot of the questions about these two teams, or these two players and their loyalty on the California Quakes, were answered right there, Ken.
And you see Atkinson now at the front of the pack getting tangled up. And now Atkinson again, big block on Jonathan Russell, levels him. Sean Atkinson staying at the front of the pack, doing a great job. And now you see David Gleddy and Mark James breaking out. Buddy Atkinson, let me ask you while we've got this opportunity. I've noticed Posse Chalene. Posse seems to pick up speed in the straightaways and rest in the turns, kind of the opposite of most of the quick skaters in the WSL.
Exactly right. It's because of that hockey style, but he's got tremendous leg power, and he really does dig in. Look at it go right there. And like you said, a little more resting in the turns.
And look at David Gleddy and Captain America. Bill Barker absolutely dropped Mark James. Here comes Chalene, just labels a big elbow. Feels some heat coming up from behind, cuts off the jam after putting 1 more point on the board.
Well, and Buddy Atkinson Jr. was talking about the speed of Posse Chalene. Well, one of the things that I noticed, Ken, is he has a real low center of gravity, and Chad Vaughn saw it right there as he bites the dust. Posse Chalene getting it all done here for the Florida Sundogs.
This is the 3rd straight jam. The Sundogs have put 1 point on the board and then alertly not giving the California Quakes an opportunity to catch up. They've cut off the jam. It is 9-4 Florida Sundogs. We talked about it earlier. Florida has really been on a roll. And now finally breaking out for the California Quakes. This is Anthony Santiago, number 12, and coming up Sam the Flame Martin. And also out number 13, Eric Slopey, the Young Turks for the California Quakes, and they are doing the job as Santiago and Slopey drop both of the Florida Sundogs.
Well, these California Quakes, we saw these two, Santiago and Slopey, not have a very good outing the last time they went against the New York Enforcers. They're better matched, as we see the low rider and the white pony, Ken, better matched against the Florida Sundogs.
And here come the Young Turks closing in. David Gleddy wearing that tortoiseshell helmet of his, dropping back. Oh, but Captain Sean Atkinson made quick work of David Gleddy. You see Santiago and Slopey go over, and they each pick up 1 point as their high fives all around on this suddenly unified California Quake team.
And Sean Atkinson, never to be outdone with anything that's gaudy or ostentatious, makes a little turtle soup out of David Gatorboy Gleddy as you see Gleddy go down, turtle helmet, shell, and all. Woo!
The Quakes badly needed to get some offense going, and they got it from their 2 Young Turks. And it's been interesting throughout this WSL season as Santiago and Slopey get more and more game experience. Atkinson and the Quakes have turned to them in pressure situations, and it certainly paid off that time. And now finally breaking out, this is Sam the Flame Martin for the Florida Sundogs. Martin, one of the fastest skaters in the WSL, very honestly has been very, very quiet in this game, and trailing the pack is Gary Lockamy, number 20, who dropped Posse Chalene with a big elbow. So it's Lockamy and Sam the Flame Martin. Lockamy certainly without question the far more physical of the 2 jammers, and Sam the Flame Martin almost, he seems a little slower than normal. Perhaps he's laboring under some sort of injury as he goes down very quickly from Lockamy. And once again, the California Quakes with a big opportunity closing in, and this is Captain America Bill Barker, sends Lockamy high into the rail. Now that's Posse Chalene, but remember, Chalene is not out. He has not lapped the pack, even though he's wearing a jammer helmet. And look at Sean Atkinson, goes right after, I can't believe what he's doing, grabs a bench. Now he sits right on Captain America Bill Barker. Finally, Sean Marshall comes over and comes to the aid of his teammate. Atkinson, who we talked about playing a great game, suddenly became possessed
with Florida up 10-6. We'll be back after this.
Dogs 10, the California Quakes 6. Welcome back, everyone, to Roller Jam Arena. It's halftime. I'm Ken Resnick, along with Lee Rehrman and Buddy Atkinson Jr. It was a virtual offensive explosion in that first half. In fact, 11 different jammers were able to break into the scoring column, and we have not seen that kind of offense in quite some time here in the WSL. But now, Buddy Atkinson, one thing I want to talk to you about. It seems that ever since the California Quakes traded Brian Gallagher to the Texas Rustlers, when they needed offense, they have been turning to Eric Slopey and Anthony Santiago, the two youngest men on the team. Is that too much pressure for these young kids?
No, they're wide open and ready to go. In fact, I think the playbook has probably been rewritten, and you're going to see a lot more of these guys doing it.
Well, we may well see a lot more of them in the second half because the Quakes have some points to make up. And Lee Rehrman, on the other side of the coin, taking away from the points scored. That was a half as physical, wild, and woolly as I've seen.
Well, it was physical. We had both substance and sizzle. And to add to what Buddy Atkinson Jr. said, I think that Santiago and Slopey like to dance. We always see the lowrider and the white pony together. That's why they get out. But physical, physical, physical. We saw Denise Loden, and we saw Sean Atkinson truly delivering that physical. Right here, you see the bulldog by Denise Loden, and then her boyfriend, Sean Atkinson, not to be outdone, picks up some of our furniture, goes after Captain America, Bill Barker, lowers the boom on him, and of course he's a little bit tired, so he decides to take a seat, Ken.
Well, one thing the Florida Sundogs are going to have to do is turn to a gentleman by the name of David Gleddy if they're going to counteract this physical play of the likes of Sean Atkinson and Rusty Montgomery. In fact, our cameras caught up with David Gleddy, who has a very unusual group of friends.
The swamplands of Florida can be frightening. Danger greets you at every turn, but this is where Gator Gleddy feels at home. If you think he's tough on the track, you ain't seen nothing yet. David Gleddy grew up in the swamp of Central Florida, and in high school, when most kids his age were flipping burgers, he was working on the Gator farm wrestling gators.
I'm David Gleddy for the Florida Sundogs, and I'm going to show you how I earned the name Gator Gleddy. People ask me, hey, Dave, why you like it out here in the wilderness? Yeah, I grew up out here. That's how it is. If you don't like it, go back to the big city.
Gleddy's fearless attitude makes him one of the toughest blockers in the WSL. Some would call him courageous, while others would say he's downright psychotic. But no matter what you call him, he's always looking to take a bite out of the competition.
Hey, New York, how you doing? After spending his days with alligators, David Gleddy might be one of the few Sundogs that thinks the antics of Sean Atkinson might be a little mild. Speaking of which, he's standing by with our Broadway Danny Wolf.
Sean Atkinson, you guys are down by 4 points. What's going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. We're just starting to go, man. We're going to get serious. We've been like a V8 engine. We're starting to hit all cylinders, man. Look at all the crap. I'll tell you what, Rusty gets knocked down. Who's the only Quake that went to his aid?
You.
Sean, that's right. You know why? Because I'm a loyal team member. That's right, baby. Oh, Daddy, I'm loyal.
Let me ask you real quickly, though. How committed are you to Denise Loden?
Completely. Completely. She's the love of my life.
There is no doubt all of Sean Atkinson's teammates are questioning where his priorities do indeed really lie. Now, as an offshoot of that, like it or not, Rusty Montgomery is finding himself cast into a leadership role. Now, Buddy, in that second period, Montgomery really tried to take a leadership role on a play, but boy, did it ever backfire. In fact, why don't you take us through it if you would?
Well, let's take a look right here. We're noticing he's getting a setup right now, and it's really a nice shot he gives Smith. But watch where out of nowhere Barker puts a break on, does a straight line, and watch this arm right across that guy's neck, and down this boy is going to go.
Kaboom.
It's out and over.
Woo.
Bang. Big one.
Well, certainly Rusty Montgomery may think twice about where he is on the track, and it's an absolute certainty he will be keeping his eyes ahead of him with the Florida Sundogs. At any rate, we'll be back with more right after this. You see the racehorse start. That's the way we begin every period. Heather Sunderman always loves that inside. She uses those long loping strides to gain an advantage, and breaking right out this time, going high on the track, was Jamie Konomak, but Gina Lombardo went low and got the edge overall. And it is Konomak and Lombardo as they come around the far turn. And Gina Lombardo, now something we don't see, gets very physical. Lombardo coming around. Gina Lombardo all alone on the Florida Sundogs, who try and add to their lead. It's been a very offensive set so far. Cindy Zimmerman cheers on her team. We have had a point scored in this game so far in every single jam. You see Denise Loden now whipping back, gives Konomak the elbow, but Stacy Blitz is right there to impede her progress. Heather Sunderman caught up, and Denise Loden now elbows her. Almost Loden tried to grab Konomak by the hair to spring her free, unable to do so. Konomak closing on Stacy Blitz. Loden doing a good job of blocking out Sunderman. Right now, neither jammer's been able to set anything up. Loden now setting up for a Texas Bulldog, and suddenly Stacy Blitz comes from behind and does the exact same to Gina Lombardo, but the referees rule Lombardo did get by, as did Jamie Konomak. So both teams put points on the board. 1 for the Sundogs, 2 for the California Quakes.
And I'm really looking, Ken, in the second half for these Florida Sundogs to take full advantage of the fact that they have a full roster. They're not used to it. In fact, like we mentioned in the first half, we're used to having Denise Loden having to play for the men, for crying out loud.
And you saw Stacy Blitz and Sean Atkinson still having words. Loden and Stacy Blitz each in the penalty box. A 1-jam penalty for each, so we're skating 4-on-4 as they come around. This is Kathy Evangelo now breaking free for the Florida Sundogs. Evangelo along with Amy Craig out of Fairhope, Alabama. It's Evangelo and the Alabama Slammer, number 30 for the California Quakes. And right now, Evangelo fired away the aggressor physically. Amy Craig using her speed to gain a little edge on Evangelo, going inside and then coming out high on the turn. Now, they both go to the inside and reverse positions. And down goes Evangelo from Amy Craig. Craig using her speed, got out in front, took the elbow and throw her down. Now you see Debbie Rice back. Rice is wearing a jammer helmet. She's been favoring that wrist. And there you see, ordinarily that wouldn't happen. Amy Craig would not be able to go by Debbie Rice that easy. She goes by Rice, she goes by Franklin. Now remember, once a jammer passes a blocker, the point stays on the board. In that case, even though Andrea Franklin returned the favor and passed by Amy Craig, but you see the speed of Amy Craig of the California Quakes.
Well, and as we've seen, Debbie Rice's injury has really kept her from playing here in the World Skating League. Amy Craig has been one of the players that have really come about mid-season, Ken, showed her true colors, and now that Debbie Rice is back, she has a special incentive to really show that she is somebody to be reckoned with and is now a force here in the World Skating League.
Amy Craig putting 3 points on the board, weaving her way through the pack, and we continue the pattern. We have yet to have either team pitch a shutout jam. You see Loden now at the front of the pack trying to do some blocking, and does that, just drops Cindy Zimmerman. Now the atomic whip from Loden and Franklin springs Debbie Rice free. Rice, you can see, not Buddy Atkinson. It's not her normal style. She's really favoring that wrist.
Well, she's really favoring it, but I'll tell you what, this girl's pumping twice as hard as you normally do to compensate for it. And look at that move.
And now Debbie Rice closes on the pack. Faith Urban back to try and block her out. We'll see if Rice can use her agility. And there, a spin move goes right by Faith Urban, picks up 1 point. And now she does the exact same as she goes by one of the other California Quakes. That was Jamie Konomak. 2 points that Debbie Rice has already put on the board, and now she cuts off the jam, but it's good to see Debbie Rice finally break into the scoring column. 2 very important points.
Well, you see a little smile on her face, Debbie Rice, and I think she must have heard Buddy Atkinson Jr. talk about her. He said she was huffing and puffing a little bit. Well, I'll tell you what, she came out here to play today. I think the huffing and puffing is because she's a little bit tired. I don't think that wrist is bothering her, Ken, and I think she just now in this period is starting to get her game legs back for her.
And you see Franklin and Loden now a double whip again, springs Gina Lombardo, being chased by Heather Sunderman. The Florida Sundogs really showing some offense. They've scored on every single jam. Finally, the California Quakes were shut out, but we still have had a point scored on every single jam in this game. It's Lombardo and Heather Sunderman. Heather likes to stay low on the curves and then come high using those long loping strides. And this time she gets tangled up on Gina Lombardo. Lombardo again now closing on the pack. The Florida Sundogs are really off to a whale of a start here in this third period. Lombardo again jamming, takes a whip from Lindsey Francis, goes by one of the Quakes, he drops down. Lombardo goes by Cindy Zimmerman, now she goes by Brooke Sunderman. Gina Lombardo flying by, now she passes the entire pack. Gina Lombardo picks up 5 points, passing the entire California Quake team. What a jam by Gina Lombardo.
Well, and this is on the heels of Debbie Rice materializing perhaps as an injury-free Sundog. Ken, I got to say it again. These Sundogs are coming off several weeks of being short-handed. We saw Denise Loden playing for the men. We know the Shaleens are back now, specifically Suzanne Shaleen as a Sundog woman. These guys are loaded, and they are aiming right here at the Quakes, who seem to be going for big hits, but the Sundogs are here to play and well-rested, Ken.
And now it's Jamie Konomak, and it looks like Suzanne Shaleen out for the Florida Sundogs. We've talked about it so many times in the WSL. The rotation teams get used to certain jammers going out on certain jams, and the Sundogs have been in total disarray. Now the California Quakes practicing a lift, tie up a number of the Sundogs high on the rail. Jamie Konomak is able to fly right by, pick up 3 points. The only problem is so did one of the Florida Sundogs who was out on that jam. Each team picking up 3 points, so they cancel one another out, and it is 21-14. Sundogs 21, the California Quakes 14 as we're getting ready to start the 4th period. Extremely balanced scoring on the Sundogs from top to bottom, but on the California Quakes side, of the 14 points, 12 of those have been accounted from Jamie Konomak and Amy Craig, and no points were bigger in that 3rd period than Amy Craig, buddy, when she went through and actually tied the game up at 11, but single-handedly worked her way through the entire pack. Buddy, why don't you show us that play?
Let's take a look at this. Nice move to the inside. She's run the outside. She sidesteps. She's run back up to the outside. Now she moves back into the inside, slides through on the inside, goes back up high, and watch this sidestep. Beautiful job. Excellent. That's what I call working.
There's no question both teams have scored a lot of offense today as Mark D'Amato talks to Rusty Montgomery. I certainly would like to know what that conversation was about. It could certainly bode no good. Again, the racehorse start as we start every period here in the WSL. Breaking right away, coming out for the Florida Sundogs is Jonathan Russell. And now coming up on the inside, the speedster Eric Slope in the white pony. And very quickly up he goes and comes around and down he goes. Now the Florida Sundogs out. It is Jonathan Russell and Tom Smith for Florida. Florida leads this one by 7 and looking to add to their lead. It's been a real offensive show all day long from the Florida Sundogs. They continue to have scored on every single jam. Atkinson and Montgomery now back trying to block out, and they certainly need to. It's Russell and Smith trying to get around. The Quakes can ill afford to let the Sundogs put any more points on the board with no California Quake jammer out. If they do, there'll be unanswered points. Once again, Russell now the lead jammer dealing with Montgomery. Atkinson doing a good job of blocking out, but remember, Russell already has 1 point for passing Sean Atkinson, the Bulldog, and now a back body drop, and over goes Smith, but he also goes by Atkinson. They both pick up a point.
Well, and whether these guys are working as a team or not, Sean Atkinson and Rusty Montgomery both got it done on defense there, Ken. You saw the back attack at the end by Sean Atkinson. I don't know what Rusty Montgomery was talking to the leader of Bad is Good, Mark D'Amato was before the jam, but Rusty Montgomery really did his team, the California Quakes, some service. And right there you see the back attack by Sean Atkinson. Relationship or not, Sean Atkinson is leaving bodies strewn all over the track.
I certainly have to question the strategy by Montgomery and Atkinson. Granted, physical moves, laid out a couple of the Sundogs, but in so doing added Florida to yet put 2 more unanswered points on the board. It is now 23-14. Florida Sundogs. The Sundogs, without a doubt, the hottest team in the WSL, and certainly not slowing down at all. And now number 14, Rusty Montgomery, gives a big whip to Mark James for the California Quakes. The Quakes really need to generate some kind of offense. They have been putting a lot of goose eggs on the board as of late. And right now, here comes Posse Shaleen closing on James.
Well, this seems to maybe be a symptom of what they were trying to accomplish, Ken. By getting physical, they free Mark James, but Posse Shaleen closes the door on that strategy.
And now Chad Vaughn to try and block out Posse Shaleen, the star from Helsinki, Finland. Shaleen skating with a whole new confidence. He's always been physical, but he's combined that with a lot of speed. Now they set up the double whip. Sam Martin goes hard, picks up a point. Posse Shaleen picks up a point. You see Martin very quickly cutting off the jam, not allowing the Quakes to get any points on the board. Every time a lead jammer puts both hands on his waist, that cuts off the jam. A point for Martin, a point for Shalene. As you see the big elbow drop Mark James. Buddy Atkinson, you're our roller derby expert. What do the California Quakes need to do to get back into this game?
Atkinson's got to get serious and rough, and I mean rough, and start moving these Sundogs around and getting his jammers through.
California trails this one by 11. It's been a very high-scoring game, but most of the scoring is being done by the Florida Sundogs. We'll see what Sean Atkinson and the California Quakes can pull out of their bag of tricks. Now, right now, it's number 13 for the California Quakes. Eric Slopey, the big elbow drop. Jonathan Russell, this is what the Quakes need. They've got a jammer sprung. They desperately need. I don't know why Slopey is taking time to get on his white pony, trailing by 11 points, calling everybody back. Slopey, if I were you, I'd concentrate on scoring. David Glenny now dropping back to try and block out Slopey. Does a good job, pins him high, uses that upper rail to prevent him from going by. Now Sean Atkinson with a hammer drops David Glenny. That's 1 point for Eric Slopey. Atkinson goes high and pulls down Captain America Bill Barker. Eric Slopey flies through, picks up a couple of points. That's exactly what the Quakes needed. Danny?
All right, Sean Atkinson, you guys are down by 9 points. There's only what are you looking for?
Oh, man. Where's Denise? Denise! Denise! Quakes! Quakes!
What are you doing?
Quakes! Here's what's going on. I'm tired of all the crap about me and Denise dating. I'm going to end it right now. I'm going to end it right now. Where is it? Hey! Hey! Where is it? Where is it? Come on, man. Come on, where is it? Denise Loden. Denise Loden, will you be my wife?
Oh, my God.
I can't believe the reaction of Rusty Montgomery, Pearl harboring Sean Atkinson. Buddy Atkinson, everyone knows you're Sean's dad. He just proposed to Denise Loden. What do you make of all this?
She's a great girl, but I'll tell you what, I'm more shocked on Rusty's attitude and that punch. Oh.
And Hawk, what do you think this is going to mean for the California Quakes?
Well, even if you're not a family member, you have to be totally disturbed by this total new bad is good conglomerate apparently bringing Rusty Montgomery into the fray. I tell you, the soap opera will continue when we come back right after this.
The California Quakes 16. We're in the middle of the fourth period. Sean Atkinson has been taken off the track. The blow coming from his own teammate Rusty Montgomery. Danny Wolf is standing by with a very concerned Denise Loden. Danny?
Denise, do you have an answer for him?
I gotta go check on Sean right now. I can't.
No answer?
I can't answer right now. I gotta go check on Sean.
I don't know what more we could see in this one. We've had fights, we've had marriage proposals, we've had Pearl Harbor attacks from one player to another player on his own team. The bottom line is we're winding down, coming up in a couple of minutes. The California Quakes trail the Florida Sundogs by 9. And Hawk, I've just been informed by our statistician here in press row, Bob Cole, that throughout the entire game, the Quakes have never scored more than 3 points in a jam. It doesn't look good for Atkinson in California.
Well, that kind of past performance today doesn't bode well, but also this nightmare emotional high or low, depending on what part of the World Skating League you're in, and it just keeps getting worse for the Quakes as Lockamy goes down at the hands of the Flame Sam Martin, Ken.
Well, right now, all Florida has to do is just try and run out the clock. In fact, Sam Martin, all he has to do is stay in the lead. When one of the Quakes closes in, he has to call off the jam, because certainly California right now is not only playing against Florida, but they're playing against the clock. A great double block set up by Santiago and Montgomery, but I fear a little, too late, as Martin again drops Mark James, and now Sean Marshall breaks through with the referee rule. Sam Martin is upset, but I think it's a good call. The jam clock ran out just as Sam Martin passed the two Quakes, and then Sean Corbin waves it off. No point score. Hawk will take a look at this replay.
Well, on the top right of your screen, you get a very good shot of the clock as it expires. It was a judgment call. It could have gone either way. Sean Corbin took the points away from Sam Martin, but it might be too little too late for these California Quakes, Ken.
And we've got a jam formed and we're underway. Remember, the only thing that matters now is a jam clock, but with this kind of lead, I think it's all academic. The Florida Sundogs will continue on their roll right now through the World Skating League. You see the Quakes try and set up a double block, and it's broken up very handedly by Florida. And this is Tom Smith coming around, but this one is in the record books. You can put a big W next to the Florida Sundogs. All that matters now is what the final score will be and what the stats will be for individual scoring. Tom Smith has a chance to add to his scoring as he comes around. You see Captain America Bill Barker sends Marshall into the rail. Again, Tom Smith picking up points. It's academic, but it'll certainly look good on the stat sheets. Tom Smith and the Florida Sundogs continue on a roll, and he winds his way through almost the entire pack. And what a game it was for the Florida Sundogs as now Tom Smith cuts it off after passing the entire pack, adding 5 more points. The final score, Florida 30, California 16.
And you got to think that these Florida Sundogs are just enjoying this, Ken. They've had people injured, people hurt, people deported, and they got a big lead and are enjoying it. And I think they weren't calling off jams, being Sam Martin and some of the other Florida Sundogs, just because they were having fun being out there.
Final score, the Florida Sundogs 30, the California Quakes 16. Sean Atkinson hoped to put an end to the controversy by proposing marriage to Denise Loden of the Sundogs. Instead, he magnified it about tenfold. Buddy, the Quakes have just self-destructed.
I'll tell you, that was an explosion. It's beyond words. I just can't believe that they're falling apart like this and the chaos that's happening. It's crazy.
Hawk, it's unbelievable.
Well, he can't believe it. It's his son, so you should have some control over that, young man. But you're absolutely right. We called it before the game, not to say that I telegraphed it, but these guys, the internal ticking time bomb, finally blew up, and there's an earthquake in California.
And I don't envy the position right now of our partner, Broadway Danny Wolf. He's between Denise Loden and Rusty Montgomery. Danny, be careful.
Rusty Montgomery, what were you thinking when Sean Atkinson is proposing to Denise Loden? You went in there and busted him up.
You know, Danny, this is a game we're playing. We're losing, and he wants to propose out here in the middle of everybody. You know, I don't understand that.
You saying it's selfish?
Very much so. Very much so. That's just to go show you that he's not a part of our team.
And now let's get to you talking about Bad is Good. Richard Brown and Mark D'Amato. What do you do? Are you a part of Bad now? Have you joined?
You know, once again, I have no comment on that.
Wait, Denise Loden, let me ask you first. How is Sean? Have we gotten any word on his condition?
He went to the hospital with a laceration over his eye. This guy right here is a loser. I mean, he bulldogs women. He goes after his own teammates. He's a big loser.
Let me ask you, do we have an answer? Do you have an answer for the Roller Jam fans out there? Will you say yes to Sean Atkinson's wedding proposal?
You know, Danny, my main concern right now is Sean Atkinson, the person, and his health and his well-being. And the answer that I do give is going to be to his face. It's not going to be in front of a bunch of people.
We're out of time for all of us at Roller Jam. I'm Ken Resnick. We'll see you next week. So long, everybody.